Hi, my name is Michael Dell. I'm a Ganawage Rono living with special needs. When I was interviewed, I had an idea for a show for people from Ganawage living with disabilities. Today is the start of that show, Walk in My World. Often, people with disabilities lead sheltered lives, and their interactions are limited to caregivers and family members. I hope this show will bring you awareness of these people, their families, their lives, and their dreams for the future. Welcome back to another episode of Walk in My World. Today we will be looking at a mother-son relationship and how the connection meets when the mother is also the primary caregiver. With guest host Garvagaste.
It's an honor for me to be here today as a guest host. If you remember back about 2 years ago, I had done an interview with Michael where we looked at how it is to live with cerebral palsy in the community. And today we're going to be taking a different look at it in terms of the relationship between the mother and the son when the mother is the primary caregiver of someone with a physical disability. So we'll go ahead and start with Lois. Lois Dell is Michael's mom. And if we just go back to when Michael was a child and he was first diagnosed with cerebral palsy, had you ever heard of that prior to him being diagnosed?
Prior, no, I never heard of cerebral palsy until he was diagnosed. His doctor that took care of him at Children's Hospital, that's where we learned everything he explained.
Right away he was
diagnosed?
Right
away, yeah,
okay.
He was, yeah.
So you've received the diagnosis, you have a little bit of the education. Do you find that your parenting style had to change because of Michael's physical disability?
Well, no, not that much. No, the other children at home, like they went right into it and they helped. I wasn't alone. Yeah.
Okay. Michael, do you remember as a child playing or having your brothers and sister around? And do you remember?
Yes. At the time when we were growing up, my dad worked away, so we only seen him on the weekends. So they had to really kick in to help my mother out during the week in terms of my care and stuff like that. And so it wasn't all left to her. They each had to pitch in and help out where they could.
Do you think that Michael had the same treatment as the rest of the family, or did he have to was he treated special?
No, he wasn't treated special. No, he was treated like the rest of the family. Yeah, like I said, he was special, but
not too special.
Yeah.
And what about as he was growing now? Did he have more doctor's appointments per se, or special things that took you out of the home for treatment or anything like that?
Oh yeah, he went through quite a bit of treatment. He started at the Children's Hospital, and he had to take physiotherapy every day. Yeah. Okay. Because when he was born, like his balance was, he couldn't sit by himself. Mm-hmm. So that's where they started at the Children's. I brought him there every day for his physiotherapy. And then once that was done, then he moved on to Mackay Center. But then he still needed that physiotherapy, so he continued over there.
It's quite remarkable because you spend so much time with doctors and specialists and physiotherapy, and even up to today, every once in a while you have to see an OT, and just like common practice for me.
At that time when he was a small child, was there resources in the community to help with dealing with cerebral palsy?
Not at that time, no, there was no resources. So
you had to go outside.
You had to go on the outside and more or less do everything on your own. Eh?
So when you look at from then to today, there's an increase in resources.
Oh yeah, look at the increase they have today. They have all this was it like home care? You know, they come in and do a lot of stuff for you, you know. But in those days, I didn't have that kind of help.
So looking at your relationship with Michael as his mother and as his caregiver, how do you define that relationship?
We do have a close relationship, but there's times when we butt heads, you know. He'll go in his room, he's got his space there, and so once he comes out, then we resolve it, you know. Yeah. But usually it works out good, you know.
Yeah. So you find your own space within
Yeah, we
your
find
home.
our own space, yeah.
And I wouldn't say that she's totally stuck in the home. If we plan out properly, then we can work around those details so she's not stuck in the home. There is a sense of dependency, but there's a sense of she can go if she needs to go somewhere.
So on that topic of finding your own space, and you have other children who grew up and they moved into their own homes, moved on in their lives. Has that thought ever came up of where Michael could possibly live on his own or
Possibly,
move
yeah. It came up plenty of times, you know.
Within the past little while, yeah, it's
Yeah.
come up because
Michael often talks about maybe one day they would have like a place, you know, something like we call ILC, where they live in there
Okay.
and
yeah.
they are
Yeah.
being taken care of. And that's what he thought about. Maybe one day they would maybe have something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he would be willing to go and live there, you know.
but still having that, family connection,
Mm-hmm.
where she comes and, does all the appointments, but we don't live together.
So on a daily basis, how many hours would you say you are together? Is it 24 hours or? Michael, I think, has programming, right?
Yeah, well, he's here from 9 to 12 at the Learning Center.
I could go to the young adults program, but it's only by choice that because they finish so early that, it's to get moved and get moved again. I just choose to go home and stay at home because it's easier.
The summertime he's at Camp Massawippi, and the other one is
Camp Papillon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's gone for part of the summer.
So that gives you
That's
a nice
my
break to
respite,
rejuvenate, re-energize.
Do my own thing.
So Michael, you had mentioned that there are some hours during the day where your mother has a break. She can go off on her own, and you're here at the Learning Center. You want to just tell us, what are some of the activities that you're doing while you're here?
While I'm here, I take English, math, and careers, all basic subjects. Everything I do is on computer, so all my programs are basically on the computer, and we have the teacher works individually with us, well, not exactly individually, but she each gives us a little bit of her time to walk us through whatever subject we're doing. So we might be doing, for English, we may be doing reading on the books one day. The next day it may be English on the computer, and then it may be English on the board, actually putting the words together and sounding it out. And I also take French here, so I have a very busy 3 hours when I'm here Monday through Friday.
So do you feel like, because Michael has this disability, do you think that over the years you were an overprotective mother in terms of letting Michael go to do activities or to go to camp? How was that, letting him go?
At first, I wasn't really, I don't know.
She wasn't really.
I wasn't sure of, letting him go because he was very young and when they start sending the forms out. And
How old was that, about 8?
Yeah, a little
About
bit,
8?
yeah.
So what were you afraid of in letting him go? What were your concerns? Or
I wasn't ready.
afraid he would get hurt or that he'd be...
I wasn't ready to let him go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happened when you did? What was that first experience like for both of you? Michael, do you remember the first time you went away to camp?
Well, when her and my dad talked about it, that I wanted to go, they picked the shortest schedule that was possible within the program, because you have to realize that when you're 8, you could get homesick, is what would happen to me. So when I went, it wasn't a good experience for the first time, but as I continued to go, I began to get better, because the school would say, at Mackay, you have to try and do something, because when you get older, it's not going to be easy to separate if you don't separate now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we decided to take a jump for it and just try it. I can't think of not passing a summer without it.
So, Michael, looking into your life and looking back, are there any moments in your life that stand out as special, or any specific memory or event that happened that you think back, wow, I accomplished that, or I did that?
Getting a motorized wheelchair at 8 years old. It wasn't only giving you the chair. It was like, also you had to learn how to transfer in and out of it. Mm-hmm. And get back into it, out of it. And I told the guy, I said, I can't do this. He said, oh, come on, you have cerebral palsy, you're Mohawk, you know. Your people can climb to big buildings. How come you can't transfer from a chair to... I'm like, I can't. He said, I can't do this. And you're like, if you can't do this, then you're not going to be able to do anything that you want to do in life. So wow. He said, you have to be able to do this. So it was about 6 weeks before the end of school, and we were coming to summer break. He said, okay, you're going to that camp, that's all they're going to teach you how to do. And I went back, he said, okay, let's see what you can do. You had your whole summer, let's see what you can do. I was able to do it. And then he was happy. He said, then next you're going to be able to do anything that you want in life.
How do you find Michael in terms of his motivation? Is he a motivated? He seems to be. I mean, he's doing the show very well. He's going to school. He's learning. Is he self-motivated, or do you have to kind of push him into things?
He's self-motivated. Yeah.
Very strong.
He does his own thing. He's very strong in those areas. Yeah.
Michael, how do you define yourself as in terms of motivation and getting going? What's your secret?
I'm not going to share my secret, but I'm going to say that I like to take calculated risk. When you're disabled, you're always looking to enrich your life and trying to improve it, because you get told so many times, oh, it can't be done because of your disability. Well, I try to push the envelope. I won't take no for an answer until I've exhausted all options. So, it's really important. And
Michael, how would you define the relationship between you and your mother?
My mother's my caregiver.
Mm-hmm.
My mother's my chauffeur. My mother is my friend. When I'm sick, she takes care of me. So we have a very good relationship. She'll always be my mother through thick and thin. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but sometimes we have to overlook it and just start moving on and forget about it, because maybe it wasn't worth to bring up that topic and really hash it out, and it was for nothing.
So I guess do you think you're lucky to have Lois as your mom?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't sound too sure. What's going on there?
Maybe he has another mother somewhere.
I'm gonna redo that one. Okay. Yes. I feel lucky, and from a guy that's not really religious, I'm gonna say I feel lucky, I'm grateful, and I'm blessed.
So as time goes on and we change and we grow, we're growing older, Michael's getting older, do you see your relationship changing or evolving?
The only way that it would change is if, for me, if my mom got sick, God forbid, tomorrow. You know, the only way that would change is because somebody else would have to be plugged in quite quickly to take over where my mom left off. And I've thought about that, but I don't like to think about that.
Yeah.
You know, we'll deal with. We always put a band-aid on that, and maybe we shouldn't, but we'll say we'll only deal with it when it gets here. But we haven't really. We've talked about long-term planning, but we haven't really nailed it down quite yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I have a brother that lives next door to me. I have a brother that lives in Toronto, and we're all close. So if my mom needed help tomorrow, I'm sure somebody would pitch in somewhere. It all goes down to connecting with family and that strong
Mm-hmm.
family bond. I think that's what my mom and dad wanted for me to
Mm-hmm.
be part of the family, and that's what it's been all through those years.
So, Michael, I know we're talking about the relationship between you and your mother and the roles that you play for each other, but let's just look at, because you're not only her son, you're also within your family dynamics an uncle, and you have nieces and nephews. So, what's the relationship like between you and your nieces and nephews?
The relationship between my nieces and nephews is pretty strong. You know, being the fact that some of them live right next door to me, so we see each other, if not every day, every couple of days. We talk on the phone. One of my nephews comes quite regularly after school, and if his mom's not home, he waits for his mom to get home at my house. And the thing is, they don't treat me any different. You know, they treat me as part of the family, I'm part of the family, I'm part of them. So, you know, they don't really look at the physical disability as part of me, to say, well, what do you have, what's the wheelchair, all that. They don't really look at that. They just look at me for who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And if it comes up, we deal with it, and then we move on.
Mm-hmm. So just in getting to work with you, you know, on the show, and I know that it comes out that you have very strong values and beliefs. Do you transfer that to your nieces and nephews? Are you teaching them when you're with them? And
I try to pass on my beliefs and what I think. Like, I'm very interested in my older niece, what she's gonna do when she finishes her high school at Cooper Academy. So I want to know what she's gonna do when she's done with that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I try to be there. You know, to just be there and say, you know, what's up. You know, because she has her own group of friends. We get to see each other, but not as much as I would like. You know, so, but we do get to see each other from time to time, and we hang out for 5-10 minutes, whatever it may be. We get to talk, you know.
But I think I was at a family conference this past weekend, and they were talking about how children are learning through observing, and I think them just seeing how strong you are and the activities that you're involved in and the things that you're passing it on, even if you're not talking about it.
Yeah.
That they're seeing it. They're seeing your strength and your mom's strength, you know, in the role that she's playing. And
our relationship all the way around with my family is pretty strong. You know, we can get together and have family functions and hanging out like that. Actually, Christmas is my most favorite time of the year because you can be guaranteed to at least get the family together one time a year because everybody's off doing different things and this, that, and the other thing. At least Christmas time, we manage to all come together for at least one time a year.
Yeah, and I think that goes for many of the community members. You know, we might not per se believe in the Christmas, but that is a time that where we all have off of work. You know, generally everybody has the time to come together and to spend with each other and be grateful to be together. So, moving on, is there anything else that we haven't covered that you wanted to share or you wanted to talk about and to just inform the community on about the relationship? And
I guess in closing, we could say that, you know, for people that have told me in the past that they like watching Walk in My World, I hope that this episode fills your heart with warmness, with warm thoughts for the holiday season, and it brings you a sense of fulfillment to watch this episode, because I hope it gave you a glimpse into our personal relationship for what it is, and I hope that you can transfer it into your families, although it won't be the same way, but I hope you can transfer it into your families in some way, and just enjoy the Christmas holidays, and Happy New Year to everybody, and Merry Christmas.
So I'd just like to thank Lois and Michael. Thank you very much for being here today and for sharing with the community everything about your relationship and being open and honest. I think that myself as a community member, I always admire you and look at the bond that you have and the strength and find inspiration in that. And I think for many community members, we can definitely find inspiration through you guys. Nyawa for watching another episode of Walk in My World.
More than 14% of all Canadians have a disability. For Aboriginal First Nation Canadians, there are 33% of people living with disabilities. People living with disabilities are subject to exclusion, poverty, and isolation. There are higher rates of depression, suicide, violence, and abuse for people with disabilities. We know that for Aboriginal Canadians with disabilities, all these rates and percentages are even higher. Statistics according to Independent Living Canada.
You're watching Gahnawage's Mohawk TV on Local Channel 4, local television covering all aspects of community life. Nyawagoa, Zewaderorege.